Hello, Daryl here. The channel is Programming in Any Language. The supporting website is programminginanylanguage.com or black-duck.com. They both take you to the same place. And it's a place where you'll find the videos and PDFs of the code in most cases. The video is the Anything Database version 3, part 3, navigation. During my time consulting, I wrote dozens of applications for dozens of clients. In all cases, some sort of collection of data was required. It might have been a collection of data in a text file, or it might have been a collection of data using a database. Either way, it required giving the user the ability to navigate through the records. That's what we're going to do here. And navigation is pretty simple. It means looking at the first record. It means looking at the last record. And of course, it means moving forward or backwards through the records. And all this is accomplished by using an integer to point to a particular record in a list. When navigating, the only thing that can go wrong is you set the integer too low, less than 0, or you set it too high, beyond the number of records in the file. And those two conditions are pretty easy to check. As for getting our data, it couldn't be more simple. When we navigate to our record in our list, all the fields are in a structure. They can simply be extracted into the text boxes on our form. Let me show you. Well, we managed to create a routine that allows us to add records to our database, our structure, our list. The only problem right now is we haven't gone any further with this thing. We need to be able to navigate through. We need to be able to save it, load it, all that rest of that stuff. In fact, we've got another 7 sections to do to make this thing complete. And we got to make a decision right now. Do we want to go ahead and do the save part, which might be a good idea because we could actually save all the records and then load them back in. But we could also do navigation. And navigation requires I'm going to have to type in records every time I try to test this thing, but that's okay. Navigation is not quite that difficult, so I think we're going to do navigation first. So this is the Anything Database version 3, part 3, navigation. What we're going to do here is take a look at this section right here, the navigation piece. We're going to be able to go top, bottom, forward, and back. In other words, in our list, it's sitting out there as record 0, as record 1, record 2, record 3, record 4, and 5. We simply need to have a pointer, go down and look at any one of those things. Once we're pointed at a particular record in our list, we can extract the structure from it and move it to the form. And then the form can display it. So this will allow us to do all that kind of stuff. So let's take a look and make this a little simpler, get rid of all the rest of this stuff on here and kind of just look at what we're concentrating on. I've got the exit button on here, but we've got that thing done. But top, bottom, forward, and back is what we're actually going to be doing. So once we go there, we need to be able to, first of all, move our pointer so we're actually looking at the top or the bottom record, or going forward, adding 1, subtracting 1 from it. And then we display the results somehow. The coding will take place in the display results piece down here. So that's what we're actually going to look at. So what do we need? Well, we're going to be looking at the number of records, our label record count. We're always going to have that up there so we know how many records we actually have in there. If it's 0, we're not going to be able to even do navigation. This won't even appear. But 1, 2, 3, 4 number of records is going to allow us to do that thing. Remember, a 1 here is actually 0 record in the list. The list starts with 0. But we're counting our records as 1, 2, 3, 4, so we know how many records are in there. We're going to have this top of file record 0. Actually, any kind of message is going to be sitting in here, whether we go forward, backwards, or whatever. It's going to tell us where we are in the database. All of the fields in the record are going to be shown here. So they will appear here. We won't be able to edit them or anything like that, but they'll appear here as well. In fact, they'll be unenabled. We'll be able to see them, but we can't touch them. So that'll be sitting there like that. Our navigation buttons will have appeared. So button forward, button top, button bottom, button back down here will all appear. We'll be able to get at that because our panel navigation has been turned on to see it. The buttons down here, we won't use them. We really can't use them. In fact, I'm wondering if we should have them locked out or not when we're doing navigation. But how do we actually stop that? We'll have to think about that a little bit. Do we want to be able to add? Yeah, because add is going to stop us anyway and actually create a new record at the bottom. So even if we're navigating, it doesn't matter. We want to add, we're going to add it, it'll put it to the bottom of the record and go from there. So that's pretty much where we're going to stand. So let's get this organized and actually do the coding for this. Not very difficult. We should be able to have this done in no time. Okay, so here's our form as we've established so far. And it's got all the code in it from what we've done so far up to this point. So that's all there. We're going to be adding some things to it now. So what we're going to do first of all is we're going to go to our form and we're going to say, well, our navigation has been turned on. So we want to actually be able to program these particular buttons. By the way, the arrows are in these buttons already. They're simply added in there. I could show you right down here. as a system drawing here, background image is sitting out there. And if I go to it, you can find that I can actually do the ellipse on here and see that my arrow has been placed in there. If you want to see this actually in action, the text processing version of the Add Anything database shows how I actually extract those records and add them to it. Not very difficult, but it's there. So we've got them in place now, so we'll leave them in place, and that'll be the extent of it. But if you need any help, go to the text section on my website and look at the Anything database version 2. And we'll see how to actually do that straightforward. So we can actually program this thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on this particular guy right here. This is our top arrow. If we can show it's called button top. This one is button back, button forward, and button bottom. We're going to go to top, double click on it, and there's our code is going to pop up here. What do we want to do with this thing? Well, really, all we want to do is go to the top of our record. That means we want to set our list to record 0. And then we want to fill our text boxes. So what we're going to do is we're going to add code that looks like something like this. Set our in-record pointer to 0. We'll fill text boxes based on in-record pointer, and our label message will say we're at top of file record 0. Notice we don't have any filled text boxes. We're going to have to actually create a method that's going to do that. Yes, we could code that all in here, but why? We're going to have to do it for every single button. We want to call this fill text boxes thing, so we'll create a method to do this. And that's the next thing we'll do. So what we're going to do, basically, it's right down here, create a method called fill text boxes int x. So we're going to use the pointer. We're going to pass the pointer to it from our record here. Fill text boxes int record pointer. So whatever int record pointer is, it's going to be passed to this particular text box. In the case of button top, it's going to be 0. But in the case of button forward or button back, it's going to be some number because we're going to increment or decrement the pointer that we're actually looking at. Once we do that, we can go right to the anything list that we established way up here. Remember that anything list? Our person list? It has all our persons in here based on a structure sitting out there. So the anything list 0, anything list 1, anything list 2 is going to contain all of our records that we're actually using. So what we're going to do is we're going to say text first name dot text is equal to anything list x, that's our pointer, first name, string first name. Text middle initial dot text. Anything list x, string middle initial. So it's pulling all the content from our structure and putting it into the text boxes. So basically it's filling our form for us, and that's all we need to do. So then all we really need to do is program the bottom, forward, and backwards buttons in this thing. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll trust this is going to work. We could test it right now, but let's go ahead and save some time by actually bringing it up later and testing. Actually, we've got all of our navigation buttons in here. So let's do that real quickly. We'll jump down to here. Let's do our button bottom next. Jump down here. Our button bottom is going to look like this. Int-rec pointer is going to be equal to int-rec count minus 1. Remember, our list starts at 0 and goes on up. If we're looking at record 16 in our database, we're really looking at record 15 in the list because we started with 0. 0 through 15 is 16 records. So by taking int record count and subtracting 1 from it, we get the exact number that we're looking at in the int-rec pointer. So we're setting that to 15 or 14 or 13 or whatever, one less than the actual count. So we've set that there. So we're looking at the very, very last record in our field. We then call fill text box and pass that pointer to it, and then give our message to the user, bottom of file record, and then put that record in it so we know what record we're actually on. It'll tell us that kind of thing. It'll say record 15. So let's go ahead and also do the backwards button by clicking on that guy. Back is basically this. In this case, we have to be concerned about going in front of the list. In other words, less than 0. So int record pointer is equal to int record pointer minus 1. We're going to be subtracting 1 because we're going backwards. But if we end up going under 0, we're going to have an error. So we need to prevent that. So we're going to say if int record pointer is less than 0, then make int record pointer equal to 0. So every time we decrement, we'll decrement from 3 to 2 to 1 to 0. And then once we get to 0, if we have to decrement again, we're going to stay 0, 0. We're going to just stay there. That's going to do that. And it's going to tell us what record we're sitting on. And forward is exactly the same. We're going to be taking forward button here, applying this to our code, popping in here like this. And what we end up adding a record to the record pointer. But we have to check that and make sure it's not greater than record count. Because if we go beyond that, we need to subtract it so it's equal to record count. So we'll take record pointer is equal to record pointer minus 1. We'll subtract 1 from it if it ends up being equal to the record count. We always want to be less than 1 of the record count. 16 records mean we have 0 through 15 in there. 20 records mean we have 0 through 19 in our database. That's really all we need to do to make this thing work. Let's see if this works. We're going to jump in here, look at our form, do a file save, and do a run. And it looks like we had no errors in our coding, so we can actually go through there and do an add. If we do an add here, we can do an Elmer Fudd. Let's do Daffy Duck. 1122 Pond Lake Road. Apartment 2. Pond City. 98223. Update it. Add another one, because notice our navigation's turned on and we can actually go there. Can we actually go there? Yes, we can. No problem at all. But let's add another one. Elmer Fudd. He's at 234 Hunter's Lane. He has no apartment. He lives in a house. So we're going to, he's at Pond City also. 98223. Again, another update. And we'll have one more. So we've got 3, so we can do some serious navigation. Put a Tweety Bird here. I don't know if Tweety Bird lives here. Tweety T-Bird. 2345 Grandma Lane. Also in Pond City. Nope. Maybe we'll cage 1 here. We'll do a cage 1. Cage 1. In case Grandma has more than one cage. Pond City. CA 98223. Update it. And we're now sitting with 3 records in our database. We're going to lose them all when we get out of this thing, but we've got them right now for testing. So let's go to the top. If we go to the top, there's Daffy Duck. Let's go to the bottom. Should be Tweety. It is Tweety. Goes down there. Notice it's saying record 2. 0, 1, 2. But it's 3 records in our database. Go to the top, we say record 0. 3 records in our database. We go forward, we end up with Elmer Fudd. We're still saying 3 records in our database, but saying record 1. Go forward again. Record 2, Grandma Lane, Tweety Bird. Back up, Elmer Fudd. Back up, Daffy Duck. Back up again, it doesn't do anything. It just stays there because we're at 0 record. Go forward, we can't go forward. We keep clicking forward and we're staying there. It won't let us pass. So it doesn't error out or anything like that. So we're all sitting there just nicely. So that's navigation. Fairly simple to create. You just have to be aware of what can go wrong in the thing based on that list, because you've got that section of from 0 to the top number of records you want to go into. But once you do that, you're simply extracting the data from your structure, which is based inside a list, and putting it out on the screen. And that's all you need to do. That's navigation in a nutshell. Well, we can now navigate. That's great. Next thing we got to do is save our data to disk. That would certainly be nice. And we'd also like to bring it to load it back, load it back into the file. And we'll do that next as well in the next couple of videos. Thanks for watching. Visit the website when you get a chance. And please subscribe to the channel. There's more stuff coming every week. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.